Hello everyone and welcome to this new video. Today we're gonna react to a video of Davey 504. Why would you ask, probably? Well, it's very simple. Davey 504 is also Italian and this video right now is going very popular in social media in Italy. So I wanted to watch what this was all about. I barely know the content of it, so let's just jump right into it. Let's go.
I've basically been living outside of Italy for many years.
Yeah,
It
we
started
know.
as a temporary thing, a way to see the world, but it turned into a realization. And now I'm officially closing the Italy chapter of my life.
Wow.
But don't get me wrong, Italy is objectively one of the most beautiful places on earth. The food is not a stereotype, it's
Absolutely.
actually that good. The culture, the weather, there is a reason millions of people save up their entire lives just to spend 1 week
Absolutely.
here. And if you're a tourist, Italy is a dream. Or if you're wealthy enough to live in a bubble and can hire people to deal with your problems, it's also amazing. But for normal people, me and you, for anybody trying to build something from nothing, it becomes a nightmare. I really tried to make it work. I wanted
Yeah,
to be the success
absolutely.
story that stayed. For years, I had faith in my country. I paid over 60% of what I earned
Yeah,
in taxes.
very
Think
normal.
about that. Most of the work I did, all the hours spent editing, shooting videos, playing music, most of that money wasn't even mine. And honestly, I just accepted it. I told myself, if those taxes help improve my country.
Yeah, because remember, this is not only 60% in taxes. You also got taxed by YouTube, you could say. So it was taxed by YouTube and then taxed again by Italy at 60% rate, because Italy has huge taxes. Even if a worker earns, because taxes here works differently than other states, I know. We have different levels. If you are on the lowest level, you get taxed somewhere between, I don't remember if 13% and 26 now. I don't want to give you false information, but it's between that line, okay? It's between that amount.
If they help building better
22%, if I'm not
schools,
mistaken,
better
like
roads, better
IVA,
future
but
for the
whatever.
next generation,
I'm not
then it's a
a
price
economist.
I'm proud to pay. Even when I was living abroad or traveling, I always kept my company in Italy, so I kept paying. Partly because moving everything internationally is a headache, but mostly because I still felt an emotional debt to my home. And yes, Italy is home. My parents are here. Every street has a memory. And if you have ever lived in another country, you know the feeling. You know that nostalgia is like a ghost. It follows you everywhere. But in Italy, you try to convince yourself that having a good life is just about the weather and the food. You just ignore the problems because you love the feeling of being home. But eventually, that love is not enough to stop the pain. Loving a country that doesn't love you back is exhausting. You realize that you can't live on memories alone. And I want to remind you and everyone else that here the average income for a person is 1,200 euros a month. It's not high, okay? 1,200 euros a month is basically nothing. Most people here in Italy don't really have that good of an income, okay? Italy is good for tourism, but you could ask probably every Italian here. 90% will probably give you the exact same answer. Living here is not very fun, honestly. Having the money, probably many people would run away. And also another good information, you can just look it up online. It's very often that you see bright minds fleeing away from Italy. Like, as soon as they have the chance, they just flee away. People with master degrees just disappearing from this state because it's not very welcoming for people with ideas. Let's just say that. And people that that have an ambition greater than the average Joe that you could find in Italy. Like, if you want to live in Italy and you want to wake up every day, drink your coffee, go to work, come back home, watch soccer, have a nice dinner, this could be the state for you. You don't really have to think about anything. People here are like-minded in some way, because if you move a little more to the right and to the left, bam, you found someone that hates you as much as someone else. Because people hate each other in the same region, you know what I mean? So different cities hate each other even though they're like not even 20 miles distance from each other. So it's pretty
funny to look at under
Can't
this
pay your rent
perspective.
with culture. One day the
Yeah.
frustration of the real world becomes louder than the beautiful memories of the past. And that is the day
Absolutely.
everything changes. The moment I completely lost faith was when I got raided by the financial police. It still feels like a movie script when I say it. It was 3 years ago and I was abroad when they called me. They didn't tell me much, just that we needed to meet. So I did the right thing and I flew all the way from the other side of the world just for them and showed up at their office ready to cooperate. You know, I thought they were just gonna ask me something about my job because a lot of people are still very confused about what influencers, YouTubers, or content creators really are.
This
But
is
the
an old
moment I walked
country.
in their office, the vibe changed. They told me where to go straight to search my home. We drove together there and I wasn't even allowed to use my phone. And they were dead serious.
Damn.
Like they were dealing with a cartel boss. I remember sitting in the car and be like, what is even happening? I'm just playing bass on YouTube. What did they think they were gonna find? Secret blueprints for a 6-string bass? Illegal slap techniques? It was surreal. But once we got to my place and they realized I was just a guy with a bunch of basses and a camera, the atmosphere relaxed. And these kind of raids are something that are bound to happen to pretty much anybody owning a company in Italy.
Absolutely.
But when you have spent a decade building a career out of nothing, trying to follow every complicated rule, and you are still being treated like a fugitive, something breaks inside you. But the funniest part of this whole situation was when I saw my official file, they actually printed a base picture under my name. When I noticed it, we laughed together because if I didn't laugh, I would have cried. But that raid forced me to look at the math. I started asking myself what I'm actually getting in return.
Is it really worth it? Yeah, absolutely. I have a little story to tell you as well. In Italy, there's two type of work. So you can work under a boss in a company, and in that way you don't have to pay taxes yourself. Your income is already taxed as soon as you get it. And there's the other that is self-employed, let's say, and you are basically your own company. You don't really have a company name per se, but you do have like somewhat of a company name that is numbers. For who doesn't know how this works. Yeah, I mean, telling you this very, very simply for who doesn't live here and doesn't know really much. Usually, taxes are not your responsibility when you're under a company. But something happened a few years ago, and here in Italy, the controlling of these taxes get done every 5 years. But there's a problem. If you don't fix instantly your mistakes for some legislation practices, you get fined. But there's a problem. They don't tell you are fined until 5 years later. And one fun thing that happened is that one of my commercialist, one of my finance guy, actually made a little mistake on taxes a few years back. And 2 years ago, finance came up to my door and was like, hello, yeah, you are fined for 10,000 euros. And I'm like, what? Sorry? Excuse me, what? Taxes has always been paid precisely. I lost a huge amount of money, okay? I work under a company, I worked on myself, and now you're here telling me that me, an honest guy, because there's a huge amount of people in Italy that don't pay taxes and get away with it. So the honest guy in the situation gets fined for 10k. Later on, luckily, we found a mistake that the commercialist did, the finance guy did. And obviously, I'm not working with it anymore. But I didn't have to pay, luckily, the fine. But if I didn't go back and check every single thing precisely, I would have been fucked completely. 10k euros is not little. Again, the average income for someone in Italy is 1.2k. Just keep that in mind. It's not good. Anyway, let's go on.
And for 60% of my income. In Italy, we are told taxes are high because the services are free. Let's talk about that.
Shit.
Healthcare is free, sure. But if you ever try to use it for something urgent, if you need to see a specialist or you need an important scan, then the waiting list are 6 months, even 1 year.
I also have a visit programmed for July. I took appointment in August for July. So yeah, it was an 11-month wait. That's how free you could say. So yeah, it's not. The problem is that the free one, I would say 60% of the time is not even that good. and then you just go and see someone private, pay, because you want a better or a different opinion, and sometimes it's so much different than the free one that you're just like, why the fuck am I paying taxes for this? Like, it's such a waste of time and money. Like, the sanity in Italy has become a joke. I remember parents and grandparents used to tell me that we have one of the best sanitary systems in the world. Oh, Italy is so good. Right now, honestly, I don't see that personally. It's very sad for the amount of money that the average person pays here in Italy. It's very sad. A lot of money gets wasted on shit that should not be wasted on, but whatever. Every country has its problem, so.
Long. So what happens? You get scared because you can't wait for 1 year. So you go to a private clinic and pay out of your pockets. So now you have paid a massive tax for the public system and you are paying a private fee to actually stay healthy. That's not a service, that's a double dip. And then there is the bureaucracy. In other countries, I can open a business or renew a document in 10 minutes. In Italy, no way. You need a stamp, then a different stamp, then an appointment that's 3 months away. Then you show up at the office and it's closed because of a random local holiday. And the most frustrating part is the culture of the hookup. Everyone tells you the same thing. You need to know someone, friend of a friend. If you don't have a connection, the system just ignores you.
Yeah, that's the problem. In Italy, my first jobs, I found them thanks to my friends. Yeah, I'm gonna be 100% honest. The only way that I could find a job here in Italy was thanks to a friend. Otherwise, there would have been no way for me to find a job. I applied because I was fresh out of high school. I had no degree, like no the university degree, so there was no way for me to find a decent job, if not for my friends, because you have to know the guy that knows a guy or be friends of a guy that works somewhere. So, but this is for everything. You want a good service at something, you need an electrician. You don't just go out and try electricians here and there. You have to ask a friend if they have a friend that is an electrician, so that or know a good electrician. That's such a bad situation. There's no way. If you don't know people here in Italy, you're completely screwed.
Society built on who you know rather than what you do. And it's not just the residents who feel this weight. You can see the system failing everywhere, including how Italy handles immigration issues. The system is so broken, it's just unfair. It's unfair for the people who are arriving here hoping to get a better life. And it's unfair to the citizens who feel the social balance is being stretched to its limit because the government just doesn't have any clear plans. And
another little thing that I want to add here about immigration right now, the problem with people is that they are getting contaminated. I want to use this word by the American problems and think that here in Italy, 90% is illegal immigration. But there's a problem. Most of people that come to Italy are not illegal immigrants. And that's something that people won't understand. And the problem is that they cannot, so first, some don't want to integrate, and that's one thing, and you cannot do anything about that. Okay, they're gonna be everywhere. There's people that are gonna come here and be like, no, I want this country to become like mine, and you're gonna be like, well, why? But whatever. Let's talk about the honest people, the one that immigrates here because they want a better future for their family and future kids. Some of those people come here with hopes, but often the result is disappointed. And that's very sad. Those are all minds that get lost in the sauce and get lost in the big schemes. And also Italians that flee, as I said at the beginning, fly away and go away. These are all people that are getting lost for no reason, because people are treasures, and losing them like this is pretty disappointing. But Italy has so many problems that, starting from sanitary to education to job, infrastructure, huge amount of problems.
Painful to say all of this because I don't hate Italy. If I hated it, I would have left years ago and never looked back. I love this country, but I realized that loving this country is like being in a toxic relationship.
Absolutely. Honestly, I started my life as a patriot. Okay, when I was little, my parents told me the greatness of Italy, the Roman Empire, amazing Roman Empire. I knew that every single part of the world knew Italy, and then I looked at a map as a kid and I was like, but we are so small. And I was literally impressed by the power of my little nation and the fact that even being this small, we still had a name. Like, go to a random country, like in the US, go in Texas and ask them, do you know Croatia? Or do you know Albania? Do you know Greece? Greece, maybe. I don't know. Do you know Montenegro? They're probably gonna tell you, what? But you ask them, do you know Italy? And they're, yes, Italy, Italy. And that idea stood with me for a very long time, and I was very patriotic. Growing up, becoming a teenager, I discovered the problems of Italy, and I became a full-time hater, honestly. Full-time, like 100. I said, as soon as I turn 18, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. The fuck out. And I discovered that I could not do that, honestly, for monetary problems. But growing up again a bit more, now I love Italy in a way that I love, as Davey, I love the culture, I love the food, but living here, honestly, as soon as I have a chance, I'll probably get the fuck out. Not necessarily out of Europe, but out of Italy, personally.
We just drain you, and eventually you have to walk away for your own sanity. As an entrepreneur, you want to focus on your craft, you want to create, but in Italy, felt like 70% of my effort and energy was spent dealing with the system, defending myself and trying to understand all the obscure laws. And at the end of the day, the smartest and the most ambitious people I know, they're all leaving. Not because they want to, but because they have to.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
what now? Every country has problems, but I've learned that life is too short to spend it in a place that makes you feel you are doing something wrong by succeeding. I'm closing this chapter, but I'm not closing my heart to it.
Yeah, this reminds me of a quote that made XUC a few years back, and said, the government is taxing me for, what was it, 54%, 50, I don't remember exactly. So the government is doing more than him. So if he feels sick, if he feels sick, he can call him and tell him, today I feel sick, you're doing more than me, come and work for me. The problem is that in Italy, you would love to do that because they tax you even more. But yeah, that's the feeling. That's exactly the feeling that you have working here. That you are working and you are paying more than you earn.
I'm just changing the way I look at it. I'm moving from being a resident to just a visitor, and strangely, that made me appreciate the beauty of Italy even more. When I come back now, I don't look at tax forms or broken sidewalks. I'm looking at the sunset, the history, and my family. And to anyone watching this who feels stuck, whether it's in a country, a job, or in a situation that feels like it's working against you, remember growth requires movement. You cannot bloom in soil that is designed to keep you small. Living is not failing, it's an act of self-respect.
Absolutely.
It's saying I value my time, my work, and my future enough to find a place that actually deserves me. I'm taking the soul of Italy with me. I'm taking the passion, the creativity, and the resilience, but I'm leaving all the weights behind. And there are places out there that are waiting people like you, people who want to build, who want to slap bass, who want to create something that has never been seen before. This is not a goodbye to Italy, it's a see you later. I'm not losing my home, I'm just making the whole world my home. Don't be afraid to close a chapter, because that's the only way we'll ever find what the rest of the book has to say.
Amazing words. Amazing words. Davey, I hope you succeed in everything you want to do. It was a very good video, absolutely. Loving a country that doesn't love you back is exhausting. That hits hard, absolutely. And this is the average feeling of the Italian, I want to say. Another problem with Italy right now is that it's divided between North and South Italy. And the economic division is hurting the state, is hurting this country even more than any sort of immigration could do. They hit each other so much that if someone from the south goes to the north, okay, and they try to get integrated, they're probably gonna get more hate than a random black person or a Muslim or someone from Eastern Europe. So there's so much racism inside of its own country that it's gonna be, and also it's not gonna be, is the reason why there's so many problems. The south part of Italy has so many problems because it does not receive the amount of help it needs. It's a problem that we are carrying on from basically 100 years, and there's been no fix so far, and doesn't seem like it's going to get fixed in the future for now. And this is a huge problem because the northern part of Italy makes more than 50% basically of the whole income of Italy. Only a few regions in the north. And that's very sad. That's absolutely very sad because it makes me feel like people are gonna hate each other even more. And luckily, not many knows these numbers. Luckily. But anyway, that was all for today. I really hope for the Italy to become a greater state in the future. Good luck, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day and see you guys again very, very soon.